So out of all of the films in this whole marathon, this is arguably the odd one out. It's not necessarily a horror movie. I mean, I think it's a horror movie, but in terms of general classification, a lot of people put it more towards the thriller end of the spectrum. I mean, it is enough of a horror film to have won specifically horror-based awards, and some of the marketing, especially one of its posters with its tagline, "Be careful who you let in," definitely feels like horror marketing, but it's not as explicitly horror as other movies included on this list. It's also not explicitly a Halloween movie, as is the case with the other non-horror films I've included. However, it does exude an intensely Halloween-y energy, with the film being set around the holiday, everything decorated up like Halloween, and the film's spectacular climax taking place entirely in an intricately decorated Halloween maze. And in terms of fitting the whole Wholesome vibe, I mean... the brother and sister look out for each other? It's kinda wholesome in the way that it's more fun and pulpy than scary, so it's a good starter for horror newbies. I'll be honest, I am massively clutching at straws. The literal only real reason that this film is featured here is because it's one of my mate Sirik's favourites and her absolute favourite overall to watch at Halloween. She absolutely fucking loves it with a passion, and she was very sad and disappointed when I said it wouldn't be making the cut. Plus, some of her music is featured in this marathon and she did a really great job, so in the spirit of being nice back and doing something a little wholesome, here's one for a mate, because I know she'll appreciate it, especially since it was never meant to be in the final lineup. It replaced Shaun of the Dead, by the way, but like, come on. You don't need me to tell you that Shaun of the Dead is good. Everybody knows Shaun of the Dead is good. So let's give a shout out to this little underrated gem instead. Directed by Adam Wingard, who is a bit of a weird one for me in that he sometimes makes movies I really like, and other times he makes ones I really don't. Thankfully, The Guest is one of the good ones, and tells the story of a grieving family of 5, now down to 4, as their eldest son was killed in action in Afghanistan. The Petersons are still very much in mourning when David, a friend who served alongside their deceased son Caleb, shows up on their doorstep offering his condolences. He then adds that he's there to check up on them, as well as pass on the message that he loved his family dearly, something David says Caleb told him to do in his dying breath. The mother of the family, finding comfort in his words, welcomes him into the home with open arms and offers him the option to stay, and he does, slowly winning over the rest of the family who aren't so keen on his intrusion with his effortless charm. That is, until the daughter of the house, Anna, begins to get suspicious of their new friend, because there is something very wrong with David. The Guest is super interesting in that it's a really slow burner until suddenly it isn't. It's impossible to talk about what makes this movie work without talking about David and the exceptional performance put in to bring him to life by Dan Stevens. Through a combination of his acting and the tense, stylized editing and directing that often cuts unexpectedly to the next scene with no audio fades or does weird things like just linger on his face while he stares deeply and unflinching into the camera in an almost fourth wall breaking manner, they managed to create a profoundly unsettling person. In a movie full of things that work, from the vivid Halloween setting to the pulpy neo-noir style and colour palette to the fucking exceptional soundtrack, David still manages to be this film's crowning achievement. He's so completely captivating and in a really quite understated manner. From the moment he shows up on screen, he's instantly likeable in every way. The charming smile, the effortless charisma, the polite, caring performance, but there's just something there. Before he's even doing anything out of the ordinary, there's just this vibe, this intensity to him. Even when he's being perfectly nice, his manner of speaking, his hushed, gravelly cadence, the way his eyes linger unblinkingly, just a little bit too long on the people he's speaking to. There's some almost robotic-like quality to his actions, like an imitation of humanity where humanity isn't really quite there, that just gets you back up. He's too nice, he's too polite, he's too charming. You can never tell if the next thing he's going to do is help you wash the dishes or wear your face, and I love him. He's exceptional. And when you're watching the family's daughter Anna, portrayed excellently by Micah Monroe, who, side note, exudes big Halloween girl energy. I mean, look at her clothes, look at her room, and if you do watch the film, listen to her music. I adore this little goth. You are genuinely worried about her putting too many pieces of the puzzle together. When she initially warms to David, he seems quite sweet with her, but that only makes it more unsettling when the second she starts to see the man beneath the mask, his cracks really start to show around her, and he's just so off. There's this one scene where he's in her room after she becomes suspicious of him, and he does the tiniest little thing, but it's such a great character moment.
Just so you know, I'll be moving on in a couple of days, so you don't need to put up with me much longer, okay? Okay.
Okay.
Good.
That second okay, man. It's a small thing, but damn, it's intense. Like, if she doesn't say okay, you have no idea what he's capable of or what he's going to do. And to make matters worse, immediately afterwards, he falls straight back into his lovely, kindly facade, thanking her for a CD she'd made. It's unnerving. The man manages to wring so much tension out of every second he's on screen. There's this other moment I love, right? And I promise this will be the last time I just describe how good a scene he's in plays out, but this one I feel is particularly important. There's this bit where just before things are about to really start to take a turn, there's an instance that just give me shivers. So at this point in the film, right, David hasn't even done anything yet. He's just been a seemingly perfectly nice guy with a genuine liking for the Peterson family. And this one afternoon, he offers to pick up the youngest son from school after noticing the son had a bit of facial bruising the day before. And when he gets there, this little bit of dialogue occurs.
What are you waiting for? I want you to show me who hit you yesterday.
I got hit with a football.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Nothing bad.
Over there.
All of them?
Well, most of them give me a hard time.
And bear in mind, like I say, at this point David hasn't done anything except be nice, and even still I was like, oh, those kids gonna fucking die. Now don't get me wrong, I have seen this scene before. It's a trope. You know, the who hurt your son, why don't you point them out to me? I just want to talk to them. I'm very much aware of this being a thing in media with bullied kids and older protector characters, but never before have I been that worried about the targets of the protector seeking vengeance. And this is all to do with how well David is executed. Because through his drip feed of cautionary signs and unsettling mannerisms slowly feeding into the narrative, the film manages to gradually drag you in till you're just on the edge of your seat, just waiting for it all to go very, very wrong, because you know that it will. It's just a matter of time. So when David says he's gonna do nothing bad, you do not believe him. And then the film suddenly and violently explodes into action in a move that somehow feels both calculated because of David's intensity and still also out of nowhere because, whoa, that's very sudden and aggressive. It's just like bang. And at that point, the tension just gets turned up and the action just gets crazier. And then the film just goes, oh, what? You thought this was going to be a slow burner? No, son, we're going to get fucking nuts. It's honestly quite an oddball movie tonally, and I wouldn't be surprised if people just could not vibe with it for that reason. It starts like a slow home invader thriller, and then it's kind of like a fun action comedy, and then almost kind of a family thing where this family in mourning are all aided by this helpful stranger who like gives the daughter a confidence boost and teaches the son to stand up to bullies. And then there's just an out of nowhere murder in cold blood, and just when you think, okay, I kind of feel like I've got a handle on what this is and where this is going, guess what? We're John Wick as a horror movie now! It's kinda batshit, but it's done with such a consistent style and vision and such strong performances that at least to me, and definitely to my mate, it manages to tie together with this joyously engaging pulpy energy. I mean, just visually alone, it's incredible. Look at this aesthetic. Look at some of these shots. Coolness is not necessarily something I go for in films. Like, cool is great to have, sure. You know, if something is cool, that's obviously a good thing. It is a compliment. But I'm personally drawn more to the substance and the thematic and emotional sides of narratives rather than the aesthetic qualities. Granted, neither of them exist in a vacuum. One should always complement the other. Film is a visual medium after all. I just mean that flagrant style in place of anything deeper isn't something that necessarily floats my boat. Having said that though, the guest is very, 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 very cool. And although I don't consider it completely style over substance, I do think it's got a lot of substance in places, there are still moments in this film that I can just point to without context and just go, that's sick. That fucking rules. I basically watched the entire third act climax like this.
We need to go. Your sister can...
Oh shit.
Yes, it's a great film. Genuinely thrilling mystery and intrigue through David that goes to some really unexpected places, to the point that I wouldn't be surprised if that aspect of the movie actually put people off, but I promise you, if you just roll with it, you're gonna have a great time. It's got fabulous style and a amazing soundtrack. Like, I know I've already mentioned the soundtrack is pretty good before in this video, but I don't feel like I'm doing it just throwing that statement away in a single sentence. I really cannot undersell just how great this soundtrack is. This film could not have a more fitting score at all. It is flawless for this movie. So yeah, go watch it. It's kind of wild, it's kind of weird. It goes to some mad unexpected places, and perhaps even unintentionally, it exudes a lot of big Halloween energy. I mean, its opening image is literally a jack-o'-lantern on a scarecrow. Come on. Also, you should watch it because, as a wholesome side note, it'll make my friend really happy to know that more people are putting their eyes on it. Bless her, man. She's geek canny. Anyway, that's another one wrapped, and as always, be sure to subscribe to my OnlyDans, like, comment, hit the bell, and all that good stuff. I'll see you next time.